No elderly couple is now left heartbroken after they say they were kicked out of the place they called home for decades.
And Fox 26 News reporter Myra Franco explains who was behind it, who they say was behind it, and why the couple says it all happened behind closed doors. Myra?
Well, as Monty, the couple tells me they got hit with a surprise, an eviction notice, something they say they never saw coming or could imagine, even since the owner of the house was their son.
That's where this story starts. And if that doesn't stop you cold for a second, I don't know what will. We spend a lot of time warning seniors about strangers at the door, the phone scammers, the fake contractors, the sweepstakes frauds, but nobody warns you about the person who grew up inside.
Videos circulating online sharing Ismael and Angelita Ramirez's story from Fresno have blown up. They are now displaced and are having to start fresh after they say they were served with an eviction notice in April for the home they have been making payments on for more than 20 years.
Cada mes estábamos pagando 700.
Y que les llegara esa carta de sorpresa, de repente que llegó, ¿qué pensaron en ese momento?
Pues pensamos que el muchacho, ¿por qué los había hecho eso si él sabía realmente que la casa de nosotros la estábamos comprando?
Here's exactly how a 2003 paperwork decision became a two-decade trap, and how it all fell apart in a single April morning. Ismael and Angelita Ramirez are an elderly couple from Fresno, California. Spanish-speaking, limited English, and by every account a couple who did things the right way. They found a home, they committed to it. They made their payments month after month for more than 20 years. They are now living on Social Security income, and that detail matters because it means what happened to them didn't just cost them a house, it potentially cost them everything they had left.
The person helping them told their son he didn't have to include his parents on the title. The parents say they wanted to be on it, but
Él dijo que le habían dicho que no era necesario. Y pues como uno no sabe inglés, pues ahí los engañaron y los dijeron que todo estaba bien.
The son at the center of this story has not been publicly identified by name in available reporting, and as of the time this story broke, he had not returned calls from Fox 26 reporter Myra Franco. The woman who ultimately served the eviction notice, reportedly the person the son transferred the property to, has also not been publicly identified beyond that role.
they also say they never imagined their son would do this to them. The eviction notice stated the owner of the house was kicking them out and selling the property. They say they later learned that their son had transferred the property to a woman who served the notice. They say they have tried to get legal assistance, but they feel helpless because as soon as lawyers hear the property was in their son's name, they refuse to take the case.
Y los dejaron ya sin nada. Pues al momento sentimos que el mundo se los callaba encima. Y luego como está uno que no puede caminar uno porque está mal de los pies. Y luego esta señora también, pues todo se le junta la depresión y la alta presión y de todo.
What we do know is that the family's other son, who has been speaking on behalf of his parents, describes a situation that gets more complicated the longer you look at it. And then there is the daughter, who is currently housing her displaced parents and trying to navigate a legal landscape that, as we're about to get into, has not been kind to them.
They say with their Social Security income, they can't buy a new house in this housing market, or worse yet, even afford rent. They are now staying with their daughter, who is helping them navigate the situation.
Now let's go back to 2003, because that is where the fault line was created. Ismael and Angelita are in the process of buying their Fresno home. They wanted to be on the title. Angelita Ramirez has said this directly. They wanted their names on that document. But according to the couple, a person who was helping them with the transaction reportedly told their son that he didn't need to include his parents. The details of exactly what was communicated, to whom, and why are not fully confirmed in public reporting. English was a barrier for the couple, and it is unclear from available information precisely what was explained to them or what was withheld. What is clear is that when the dust settled on that transaction, Ismael and Angelita's names were not on the title. Their son's was. And that one decision, a single line left off a document, would define the next 2 decades. Because here is what happened after that. They kept paying. For more than 20 years, Ismael and Angelita made payments on this house. They built their lives there. They treated it as theirs, because in every way that felt real to them, it was theirs. This was the home they planned to grow old in. But legally, it was never theirs. The title said something different, and in property law, the title is the story that counts. Now, before April of this year, and the exact timeline here is not fully confirmed in public reporting, the son was reportedly still living in the home. Family members describe him as a working man, employed, doing fine by all visible measures. There were no warning signs that anyone in the family picked up on. Nothing that suggested what was coming. But at some point, records indicate the son transferred the property to an unidentified woman. Whether that transfer was a sale, a gift, or some other arrangement is not publicly confirmed. What is confirmed is that the parents had no knowledge of it. There was no conversation, no warning, no goodbye. The first time Ismael and Angelita found out that anything had changed about the home they had spent 20 years paying for was when someone knocked on their door. And that wasn't the worst part. That knock came in April, and it came in the form of an eviction notice. The notice named the new owner, the woman the son had transferred the property to, as the party demanding they vacate. According to the couple, they never saw it coming. They could never have imagined it. The owner of the house was kicking them out, and the owner of the house, it turned out, was no longer even their son. He had already handed it off. 20 years of payments, and now they had a legal document telling them to leave. When they started making calls to fight back, they ran into a wall no one had prepared them for. The couple sought legal assistance. Multiple attorneys, by all accounts, declined to take the case, and the reason is as cold as it is clarifying. Once lawyers heard that the title had been in the son's name throughout, the case became extremely difficult to pursue. The system sees a clean title transfer. California title law, on its face, reflects a transaction that was legally executed. The couple sees 20 years of payments and a betrayal so deep it's hard to put into words, but the paperwork doesn't record that. No fraud on paper that attorneys were willing to litigate. No crime easy enough to prosecute that anyone stepped forward to take it. Just 2 elderly people on Social Security with nowhere to go. The cruelest part? The system that's supposed to protect people like Ismael and Angelita isn't built for this. It's built for paperwork, and the paperwork said their son owned it. Then the situation added another layer entirely, because the son has not been heard from. As of the time of reporting, the family had not spoken to him in nearly 5 months. Their last contact was reportedly in April, around the time the eviction notice was served, when he said he was feeling ill and was being taken care of. The second son told Fox 26 that the family has tried to reach his brother and has asked police to conduct welfare checks. No confirmed criminal investigation, no arrest, no charges have been reported in available public records. The whereabouts and condition of the son remain unclear. So now this isn't just a property dispute. It's a missing person situation layered on top of it. And the family is left not knowing whether the man at the center of all of this is a predator who walked away, or someone who may himself be in trouble, or both. That question, as of available reporting, has no answer. What does have an answer, in the most painful way, is where Ismael and Angelita ended up. They are now staying with their daughter, who is helping them navigate what remains of their options.
Estamos pues mucho agradecidos con todas las personas que han estado cooperando y con los que siguen todavía por ayudarnos por ahí con algo pues.
On Social Security income alone, They cannot purchase a new home in the current Fresno market, and reportedly cannot afford rent independently either. After more than 20 years, they are starting over with nothing. The home they made payments on, the home they planned to die in, sits in someone else's name.
They said before he moved out of the house, he was doing just fine and was a working man. Liz Monte, I also tried to contact the brother, but he has not returned my calls.
All right, thanks so much, Myra. You just feel for them.
Oh, be out of the home they've known for 20 years like that?
No confirmed recovery of the property. No confirmed recovery of funds. Partial support has come from the community. Videos sharing the couple's story circulated online and gained significant traction, and a GoFundMe was created to help them get back on their feet. The public outrage filled a gap the legal system left wide open. The community showed up when the system didn't. That's where this story ends, for now. 20 years of payments. One line left off a form, and a knock at the door they'll never forget. Before you go, if you are helping an elderly parent or grandparent buy property, or if you are that parent, one rule, and it is non-negotiable. Your name goes on the title. Every time. No exceptions. Get an independent attorney, not one recommended by someone who has a stake in the deal. And if something feels off about paperwork you don't fully understand, stop. Get it explained, in your language, on your terms. Because as Ismael and Angelita Ramirez now know better than anyone, it could be the most important document you ever sign.